Awesome. Well, welcome everybody to our April Coffee with the Coalition. I think we'll probably have a few more people join as we get started, but I am really excited that you guys are here. We love bringing these educational events to you guys via Zoom, whether you can join us in person or watch later. It's always a great resource, so please feel free to share this with your team and let us know if there's anything we can do as a coalition to help you guys with your culture change initiatives in your communities. This morning we have Kristine Dykeman-Schoening here from Bridge to Better Living, and she will do a much better job introducing herself than I will. So I'm going to let you introduce yourself and just take it away.
All right. Well, I'm glad to be here. Thanks, Kelly, for asking if I would just do a little presentation. I do love to do presentations, but I'm a little intimidated with you folks out there. You're not the general population that you speak to, right? So it's all good. It's all good. Um, I as far as an introduction, I have 35 years of senior healthcare under my belt. I had 30 years of those at Tabitha Healthcare Services and ended my career there as a vice president of the Continuum. And I love that aspect in work when you can kind of be the expert with bed management and assisted living and long-term care and hospice and home care, all of that. And so in 2018, I did leave Tabitha and came to Bridge to Better Living. So it's been a very good change for me. You know, when you talked about cultural changes in a workforce, it was good for me. It was good to go from a company of 1,500 to a company of 4 or 5. It helped me at that time. It got me back to doing some of the work that I love and have a passion to do, and that's being with people, being with families. I think there's a point that you get in your positions that you aren't doing the people work as much. And for me, it's been a good thing to be able to slow down and really give families what they need with consultations and education and just being able to answer questions and so forth. But Bridge to Better Living, a lot of you know because we work with you, but what we do and a little bit about our history. So we have been now in business for 14 years. So we started in 2010. Mary Ann Stallings started the company. She was an educator and she took an early retirement at the age of 62 and retired on a Friday and had Bridge to Better Living open on a Saturday. So she was at an expo that Saturday, kind of pitching Bridge to Better Living. And she designed Bridge to Better Living because of her experiences with her mom, her in-laws, a disabled brother, and a really good friend that had dementia that she helped with placement that really didn't go very well. There was a lot of confusion, there was a lot of guesswork in all the work that she did to try to figure out placement, and she just figured that there had to be something better. And so she created Bridge to Better Living. We are a no-cost service to our clients, and I think that's huge, right? That culturally right there for a change. Most people are really caught off guard by that we don't charge our clients. We are reimbursed by living communities. So we work with all the living communities, whether that's independent living, assisted living, memory care, or long-term care. We work with them. They reimburse us if we take a qualified lead, our client, through their doors for a tour. And then they say, yes, we're wanting to move in. That living community reimburses Bridge to Better Living. So we're a no-cost service to our client. And I think that is a change, right? So if we have one consultation or two or three with a family before they even decide to tour, or maybe we do a consultation and they never ever tour. It's being able to spend that time with that family and the senior that I think is very important. So We start with a consultation. We want to get to know our clients. We are very high touch at Bridge to Better Living. We're very one-on-one with our clients, and that's our first process right out of the door. A little bit is to start with that consultation. We're a little bit unique where we will go where we will travel, right? So we have an office in Lincoln, we have an office in Omaha. The folks can come to us for these consultations, or we can go into their homes if it's too difficult for them to get into our office. I'm
Kristine, I accidentally unmuted. I actually muted you. I was trying to mute someone else and it switched right before I clicked. So I'm so sorry. There we go.
okay.
You were just
Are you
muted for
good?
about 10 seconds
Okay.
there. I apologize for that.
No worries on that. So we'll travel. We will do a consultation wherever we need to go. In the consultation, I think it's I know it's good for families, right? Because they're being listened to, they're being heard. They have active listening from Bridge to Better Living transition individuals that they can really ask anything that's on their heart. And I will say that in a consultation. I want to know what's on your heart. I want you to speak freely, and it really helps with the dialogue and the conversation. But we basically cover 4 pillars of information. We cover social, physical, medical, and financial. Those are the 4 pillars that we want to unearth and get really drilled down so we know how to narrow down living communities. That's how we do it. So we start, with social and try to kind of get just a little bit of that dialogue, conversation going, and social is important. I've had people choose living communities because of because of like a bridge game. I remember Ruth. I had toured and toured and toured Ruth, and I was worried because she was staying home, and she was in her later 90s, and she wanted to to go to a living community, an assisted living that had the best bridge game because she was used to playing bridge Monday through Friday. So we finally found that place for her. She finally took a tour and saw these ladies that were playing bridge, and she literally stopped and watched it for 20 minutes and to ensure that, they had the quality of bridge that she wanted to play. So social matters. Are they more introverted? Are they more extroverted? What did they do for their occupation? Were they farmers? Were they more of a professional individual? All of that matters when we narrow down living communities. So social is a big, big aspect of it. And we look physically. How are they doing? Are they coming into our office? Are they struggling? Oftentimes we'll watch them get out of the car with their family. Are they using walkers, wheelchairs, canes? Are they able to take that curb into the office and do it well? Or do they need to take the ADA cutout? We're just always kind of looking for that. So physically, are they on oxygen? Are they maybe supposed to be on oxygen and they're just not wearing it? CPAPs, BiPAPs, all of those things we try to figure out in that consultation. And medically is huge, right? We know that if you've seen one assisted living, you've seen one, right? One assisted living, and so they're all different. They all are operationalized different. Yes, they have rules and regulations, absolutely, but they do all operate differently. And so medical is important in getting them to divulge um, their medical history. Sometimes that's a little bit of a challenge, and other times they tell you everything. So, but finding those physicians, who their doctors are, who their specialty doctors are, all of that is important. And then the financial piece is huge. Um, we kind of maybe leave that a little bit to the end, but if the family wants to jump right in and start talking about finances, or the senior, we'll go with whatever they want to do there. But the financial piece is is important. Oftentimes, they can be a little bit guarded about that. Uh, um, but we always kind of just get that to be more of an open topic. We help them. We do a budget with them so they have an understanding of their resources and so forth. Long-term care insurance these days is very important. I would say probably 30 to 40% of our clients do have long-term care insurance that actually move. Kind of the trend we're seeing there, and this is kind of an unfortunate trend, and I don't know if some of you are seeing it as well with your clients, but we're seeing long-term care trying to buy back policies in the market, and it is not fraudulent. But we have agencies that are trying to buy back policies that are pretty substantial policies, that would be policies that would pay maybe indefinitely throughout a lifespan. So what we're seeing there is older adults are saying, hey, we're getting a phone call. They wanted to know if I would sell back my policy for $70,000. And we're seeing individuals do it. We're seeing seniors that are actually doing that. We had one the other day that gave up her long-term care for about $75,000, and she still had the old policy that she brought in, and it was about a $500,000 total payout. It was devastating, to make that phone call with the insurance company to say, hey, we have the form right here. She signed it and we paid her out. And now guess what? She's needing assisted living. So we're seeing a lot of that. A lot of conversation too with the trend of Medicare Advantage plans, whether you're a fan of them or not a proponent of Medicare Advantage plans. Many families have no idea of the ramifications of those plans, where they just need that education so that they understand. They might say, "Mom, Dad, when did you do this?" And they're like, "I don't know when I did it," or they might be very cognizant of them signing into a Medicare Advantage plan. But as long as they know what that means to them and such, I think they're okay. They're not my favorite, but I'll work with that, right? But let's provide the education and what that means to the client for finances and down the road. So all of those things are kind of unearthed, so to speak, in helping us guide clients in order to find the best fit for them as well. Any questions so far? Any questions? Throw them at me. I would love that. Um, it helps. Anything so far? Okay. So we look at social, physical, medical, and financial. And I see Jenna just popped on. I think part of our culture is we work with everybody. I have a couple calls right out now out to aging partners from yesterday that I need their support in moving a client through the continuum that's having surgery. I think we in Lincoln are very fortunate. We have a lot of folks that we know, that we are social with in the senior field, and that helps as well too. But I think we're very fortunate with our medical healthcare system in Lincoln, Nebraska, and in Omaha as well too. So after we do the consultation, then, if it leads into tours, we're narrowing those communities. We set up the tours per their schedule and we go with them. And so on those tours, we take the notes, we scribe notes, we're engaged in that tour. We're asking questions that they might not have even thought of. And so I think that's important in the process. And we just stay with them throughout that process. And then if they need follow-up meetings after that to make decisions, then that's okay too. We always will say proactivity is the best, right? To start sooner than later. uh, that is needed, right? We will work in a crisis mode. So if somebody calls and says mom's fallen, we need, assisted living. We need a plan out here. We'll work in that capacity as well too. But I think all of us know that being proactive certainly opens up the doors for options, and you get your first choices, whether that's for home care or non-medical care, hospice, you name it, just always trying to stay ahead of that. Um, I think trend wise, Kelly wanted me to talk about a few trends. Um, I I I know what we're seeing is the baby boomers, right? We're seeing 10,000 individuals in the United States turning 65 each and every day. That includes Saturday and Sunday. That is a lot of folks that are putting a taxing on our systems, right? Um, so I don't think we're nearly prepared. Lincoln, I would have said 5, 6 years ago, we saw a lot of kind of hammers going, right? Bricks and mortar, they were going up. We don't see that right now. We maybe have one or two projects that are being worked on here in Lincoln for senior care. West Omaha, they're going great guns right now. I think that they are being really proactive the best they can. I do see that we're starting to maybe struggle with availability at times. Dementia care, it's huge. I mean, Renee, you could do a presentation on it, certainly. It's huge. Renee's got a substantial wait list to get into the arbors. Um, One of the stats that I heard the other day is that in 2025 or 26, there'll be 40,000 individuals in Nebraska alone with dementia. And that's like the fourth or fifth biggest city, right? You got Omaha, Lincoln, Grand Island, Kearney. I mean, it's right in there. If you think 40,000 people and you think about whether that's care in the home, caregivers, and how they're going to support that, or if they move into a memory assisted living, how do we continue to support that? And I often think here, the amount that we do for folks, we haven't even touched the surface, right? We have just not even touched the surface of those folks that aren't calling in, that are staying home, that are in a very tenuous situation. It's going to get worse. Nursing shortage by 2025. Nursing, I read the article the other day. We're going to be down about 5,500 registered nurses in the state of Nebraska for what we need. Now, that includes doctors' offices, that includes living communities, hospitals, you name it. But 5,500 nurses shortage within a couple years, that's pretty substantial. That's substantial. I have families that will come in, because we ask them, what do you want? What do you need if you move? I have families that are astute enough now that are saying, we want nursing tenure. Where is nursing tenure in the system? We don't want the director of nursing to be just a revolving door every 8 or 9 months. We need that stability for mom or dad. I think nursing, the shortage of nursing is definitely impacted us, right? Um, the cost of food in a living community, right? The cost of food, the chain supply, all of that happened during COVID. We're seeing the increases now in the living communities. If you want to see a trend, I think we were pretty flatline there at 3 or 5% increase with living communities every year. But we're starting to ask that question in tours. What can this family expect for an increase on an annual basis? And we're now hearing anywhere from 7 to 12%. So it's a different trend, but it's good for the families to know that so that they can budget. Another trend that I think we're seeing here at Bridge to Better Living is mental health issues. They're starting to come out more, whether that is anxiety, depression, substance abuse. We're starting to see that more as we work with seniors and their families as well too. Any questions?
I have to agree with you, Kristine. I think people, what we're also seeing is people are staying home longer, taking care of their loved ones longer. So even independent, assisted living, people who are coming into independent living really are almost assisted living folks. Those assisted living folks are almost nursing home folks. And, by the time they're moving into communities, and you can probably vouch for this,
Absolutely.
they're pretty far down the track,
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely right. And I think they're trying to, don't you, Renee, be more conservative of funds or don't have the funds and they wait. And what we would say there is if you wait too long, let's say you're moving into the legacy or independent living, if you wait too long, you're not gonna enjoy it.
Right.
Right, you're not gonna enjoy everything that the legacies or other living communities and independent living have to offer. You're just not going to. But yeah, we're seeing a lot of that as well too. Is just that kind of that procrastination.
I worry about like our generation too,
Oh,
we weren't savers like, or have those insurance policies like some of the folks, and
yeah,
where's it gonna be in the future,
yeah.
when you talk about the percentage of folks who have dementia and things, good grief. Whew. And
Yeah, I don't know.
behavioral health.
I don't know. I know Marianne, and I don't know if there's any others here on the coalition. If you're sitting in on the Alzheimer's coalition that the state has created, Marianne Stalling sits in on it, and I'm glad we have representation there. But we all know where the issues are, right? It's not hard to take a grease board or whatever or a computer and just start throwing all these issues that are impactful. That's the easy part. It's trying to solve it that is the difficult part of what we're going to do there. I mean, we're starting to see folks on a wait list for dementia care. And I think we were waiting way too long too for dementia care as well too, so that they don't, residents when they move in, they aren't as adjusting as well as maybe they could or should. But yeah, it's impactful.
Anna, are you seeing the same thing?
Oh, I absolutely agree with both of you. And what we see, it's no longer just dementia. And I don't mean it just dementia. It's dementia on top of schizophrenia, bipolar, uh, all that's the cognitive. And then you factor in all the physical. Are they hearing impaired, visually impaired? It's becomes quite challenging then.
Absolutely.
The other thing I think we see, and Renee, I work a lot with caregivers, and they do wait, and they want, out of respect and dignity, to have that individual live in their home. But what usually happens is they decline or digress, and then by the time they really need placement or transition, oh my goodness, then they have a whole host of things, and then families, per se, not my words, want us to fix them. We don't fix people.
Yeah.
We help with their, and I know you're all shaking your head with me on this, but how do we better educate? And I think it starts with the youth as well, because they're our leaders of tomorrow.
Mhm. Or they want them to participate in activities or do all
Yeah.
these things, and they're maybe even past that point, Yeah.
We keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that, how you said that they want us to fix them, and
Yeah.
and there's no fixing, right? There just isn't. There just isn't. And I'll tell you, we see a lot too of misappropriation of funds. If we want to talk about a trend, that's a trend. We're seeing sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, um, talking about gift giving and staying under the IRS requirements every year and what that looks like and the recovery look back. We're seeing that too. You bet. And sons and daughters, multi-generational levels living together. I think we're seeing more of that as well too. Yeah. But I just think, by using a placement agency that can help take out that guesswork for families, I think it's invaluable. That they're not out just calling 10 or 11 and maybe 2 or 3 might be a really good fit at that time. I think it's a very important work that we do. It's almost like it's a one-stop shop where you can learn about hospice, home care, um, all of the things, day stay, respite care. And it's been good to get back to the basics, kind of that grassroots for me personally. And so it's been a good thing for me personally.
I was gonna
Any,
say too,
yeah,
I really appreciate the work that you guys do, and I think we're all kind of talking about the same thing, getting people to the right level of care. It's even in the hospice realm for me, just
Mm,
amazing to me how we will get a referral, somebody will come in, they were declining in their current living situation. They come to us, and because we're smaller, we're able to provide a kind of a different level of care. And all of a sudden, families are going, did we make the right choice? Should we have brought them here? Should we put them on hospice? But really what's happening is they're in the right level of care. They're getting what they need, and they might not be like, we're not fixing them, we're not healing them, we're not anything, but they're just getting the level of care that they need, and they're getting the benefits of the services early,
mhm.
so that when the time comes, when they, when we're in that, imminent end of life, whatever, they're trusting the people that they're caring for. But I think we're seeing that across all levels. People need to be, they maybe want to be in independent living, but they really need to be in assisted living. So then the family makes the choice for independent living for either a financial reason or whatever reason, and that's not the right level of care, and then we see a decline, right? And
Yeah,
so
correct.
getting the right level of care is so, so, so important. But also you have all of those pieces like you talked about, like the financial piece and the social piece and the, all the things.
All the
So
things. Yeah.
it's so, so, so important to get people to the right level of care, but sometimes you can only do what you
Right.
can
I
do.
do
So
appreciate that comment because we're doing more and more of that where families will come in and they're like, well, assisted living would just be fine for mom, right? And she's full blown dementia and scoring a 2 on the BIMS and maybe a 15 on a slums and has neuropsych testing and has a list of recommendations and they're still like, no, I think she would do just fine in assisted living. And that that's maybe not the case. So there's a lot of that educational piece about, you don't want to move her to assisted living for 2 weeks and then need to make another move, right? So let's do a smart move. And it's having that tough conversation. It really is. And but if you're good with those tough conversations, then it goes pretty smoothly. I think they appreciate your knowledge and your compassion for sure.
Kristine, question and back to your social, physical, medical, financial, et cetera. And then
Mhm.
Renee, you brought up some things and then other people have really kind of embellished that same point. But as those situations change over the months, days, months, years, et cetera, do you find yourself working with families a lot in terms of your clients in that continuum as people are traveling through the process and their needs are changing? I mean, is that something you find yourself doing more of now?
Definitely. Yeah. I was talking with Marianne a couple weeks about it. She never dreamt when she started Bridge to Bear Living that we would have repeat clients if that makes sense. She
Oh,
just
yeah.
wasn't there 14 years ago that, well, why would I have a repeat client? Well, it's very obvious that as people age, as conditions change, that's going to happen. So we're maybe have placed folks 5 years ago that now need that hospice conversation that are calling in, or maybe they chose a standalone independent living and now they need assisted living, hygiene issues, or just not able to function well in independent living. So we're seeing that more and more, that we're taking care of customers repeatedly. So that's important, Mike. When you're sitting down for the first time with a consultation, is a continuum of care important? Do you see a value in a
Mm.
continuum of care? Is it affordable? I mean, all of those things. Yeah. Renee, what do you think? Are you seeing?
Definitely same,
Mhm.
And it is important to get them in the proper, because especially with someone with dementia, it is not a good idea to keep moving them and moving them. It's detrimental to that person that has dementia to keep moving them.
Yeah.
It's good to
Yeah.
get them in the right place
Yeah.
they should be.
Yeah. And I do appreciate memory assisted livings being open, and especially the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years, that they'll do end of life and maybe not necessarily need to move the resident again to skilled care. Or I do appreciate that. I think that's the right thing to do.
I think that's a really big topic. Mike, your question was really good. And I think moving in itself is such a hot topic for family members. I don't think they really fully understand the impact of what a move does to an individual. And so I think the more we have these candid conversations, the other thing too, I just wanted to mention is I think what you're doing is great in educating the family members as they navigate through the different services. I think the greatest disservice is when families have these preconceived notions. Renee and Kelly, we've had this talk, especially about hospice. They're thinking, hospice? Oh no, I'm not talking about that. Are you kidding me? It's already that perceived notion of what it is without fully understanding the services. So I think that's great what you're doing.
Thank you.
I
Thank
think, even when folks move into our community, I already start that conversation and plant that seed. We plant that seed along the way. So when the time comes, it's not a big surprise. I talk about it when I'm doing a tour or when they move in, so when the time comes, it is not a big surprise, but it still is when the time comes. Don't let it kid you. Already, but
One thing that we see a lot is that, somebody will move into assisted living. Maybe they do have private funds. We don't see a whole lot of that just because of the clientele we work with. But every once in a while, someone will move into an assisted living facility. They're able to pay that private pay for 2+ years, whatever. And then when they get to nursing home level care, they don't have money left. And so then we are looking at, okay, well, now we've exhausted our resources. Sometimes it's because they need to go to a different level of care. Sometimes it's because they've exhausted the resources. I'll be honest, I've had it happen multiple times both ways. And now
Yeah.
they don't have anything. And so then we're looking at Medicaid only. And the options for people looking for a Medicaid bed, and especially somebody with dementia, and especially someone that has any sort of behavioral,
Yeah.
issues associated with the dementia, it is nearly impossible to find a place to go. And quite frankly, the places, if you look them up on Medicare.gov and you look at their star ratings, and I have family
Yeah.
members that get really upset because they're like, I don't want my loved one to go here, but there are no other options. None.
Yeah, that's a hard conversation, right, Jenna? It's and families they're looking at Google reviews, and we're telling them to get on CMS nursing home compare, and they are struggling with that. I had one last week that I placed out of a nursing center. She didn't need nursing home. I don't know how, quite frankly, she went from Madonna acute rehab and wasn't having skilled care there. They were paying privately when a memory assisted living is really where she needed to go. But that's right. We have to educate those families that if your money runs out, I mean, this is a gamble. I did it this week with someone that her asset is her home. She's got Lewy body and it came on quick. 2 months, it's just progressed and it's throwing the family for a loop. And her asset is her home. Not much liquid cash. And so we talked about home care and I gave her some pricing, the family pricing there. But it's difficult because we don't have that crystal ball. I think she was 82. And they're like, well, what if she lives to be 85? The house is gone, right? And then, the conversation about, well, if you look at memory assisted living and you look at these, they're private pay from the time you move in until death or move out. Or maybe you look at these where they would consider keeping your mom after 2 years. But the key word there is consider. We got to get those families to understand that. And I think that's what we do really well with too, is we will say, well, what does it mean by consider? We'll ask the tour guide, the marketing director, what does that mean exactly? So the families can hear that multiple times. But I know, Jenna, can't imagine it's hard work. It's hard work.
And there's two issues. Reimbursement needs to increase.
You bet.
If reimbursement increased, I think you would see a lot more communities, and I think everybody needs to take their fair share.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is, and this is a huge issue, is the behavioral health, because we are seeing it all over and there are just no options. In fact, Jen, I just attended something with DHHS and the whole behavioral health, and it is a huge issue, and we were all talking about that, and something needs to happen because
Yeah.
there's just no options.
Reimbursement does need to change. How do you tell a family that if you're in memory situation, or even if you're not, you have to go to long-term care because there are no other options? So as taxpayers, we're paying more to have someone go to long-term care than if they go to memory care.
Well, that's what I've said to senators when I've
Doesn't
been
make sense.
I mean, this doesn't even make any sense.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
When you could pay, you have a community that, let's just pretend $7,000 or $6,000, and you're paying 10 or 11,000 in the nursing home. It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, it
I mean,
doesn't.
obviously Medicaid's not paying that, but I'm just saying it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Part of the
But-
problem too is the regulatory compliance for skilled, right? Is so stringent on medication reduction and psychotropic drug use that people would love to care for those individuals, but to try and care for those individuals the way they need to be cared for and stay within regulatory compliance is nearly impossible.
Yeah, that's a great point, Kelly. Mm-hmm.
We could talk about this stuff for hours.
That's what I mean. It's like taking a grease board, throwing out all the issues, but it's the how to fix it, right? That's the $1 million question.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, this
Yeah.
has been great. Thank you guys
Good.
for attending today. And Kristine, thank you guys for all you do for the community and for, just working with people. I know you guys spend hours and hours and hours with people, educating them and introducing them to the facilities in our communities. And it's a much needed service. And we just really appreciate all you guys do.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, awesome.
Enjoy working with all of you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming today, guys. We will have another coffee with the coalition in 3 months for our quarterly, and you can join us monthly for our clips with the coalition. And we'll be sending out some more information on that.
Perfect.
All right. Have a great day,
everybody.
guys. Thanks, Christine.
Take care.
Thank
You
you.
Thank you,
bet.
Christine.
You're welcome.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.
Have a good day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.